Finally, in this lesson, I'm going to show you how I would approach this image and how you can, of course, not necessarily you have to follow all of my steps and decisions in terms of color, but about the basic panel and what to do on the image. I think it's really good to take this as a right example of working. So, as I was telling to you, basic panel is all about highlights and shadows, and it's not so much about colors right now, but this is the step that every time you have to work with when you work with your image, unless you don't want to do cleaning up. So the first step, knocking down the highlights. You can see before, after, well, it's not showing much because I was already working, but before, after. So I want to knock down the highlights because I want to see what exists on her forehead. If I'm not going to knock it down, I'm not going to see the details of her forehead, and I need this for future cleaning up. And shadows, let's bring up a little. Also, I'm not usually working so much with contrast and exposure. I work with this in Photoshop. If you wish, you can probably work a little with contrast, and if you wish also you can knock down more whites and blacks, but also I don't feel it's really needed, especially in outdoor photography. The workflow has to be fast and has to be very efficient. Other thing, this image, as I mentioned before, Camera Raw tends to really knock down the colors. It gives you this washed out results. It's not really accurate how you see this in your camera. So what I like to do for outdoor images is just bring the vibrance up and make the colors the way you saw them in your camera. So as you can see, a very simple thing. In the basic panel, I don't do really much. I'm trying to keep this soft and natural because that's what outdoor photography is all about. Let's go into some other panels and we can work a little with hue. I feel this image maybe could be a little more into oranges to give it nice this cheekbone color. That would be very suitable, just a little bit, and also maybe knock down the yellows a little, going down more into the oranges color. If it's about saturation, similar thing. Let's saturate a little bit of the oranges so the image still is getting a little bit more juicy, and that would be it. One thing you can do with the outdoor image is actually split tuning. And the thing is how you want to approach this image. Do you want to do like separate split tuning, more into going to different colors to make it stand out, to make the model stand out from the background, or keep it in one tone? So let's go with the warm tone at first and let's compare how it's going to look like. If we're going with orangey tones, which look always really great on the outdoor images, actually we could maybe just go with one way like this. I set the balance just for highlights, and you can see this image would look really great when we add just the warm tone. And this decision is really up to you. Outdoor images look really great when you give them the warm, nice tones, because that's what people who want to have their own portraits looking for. That's what the family portraits are looking for. Like, this is what looks good on this image. Different approach would be, of course, splitting the tones into the complementary colors. So I have the orange for the highlights already, and what I would do, I would have a look at the hue value. It's 38 around now. That could be 35. Usually skin tones are around this 35. And let's have a look in our color scheme designer. I'm having a look at complementary, and as you can see, when I'm moving these dots over here, I can see hue value. So when I set the hue value at 35, which is this beautiful orange tones that I gave to my image. Not really strong because saturation only like 14, because I don't want to oversaturate the color. And let's see the opposite hue. Opposite hue for 35 always will be 180 degree different, because as you know the wheel has 360 degree. So opposite hue, the perfect hue for this would be the easiest way, 215, and I will go with this. Just as an example, remember other thing, the exact opposite hue is not that it's something is right. I'm just giving you this now as a very simple example, because setting this straight as it is, it's not always the best idea. In this case it works really well. It's I think it was a good idea. This image allows us, but not all of the image allows us for this. And now I could even bring more saturation for highlights. So probably that's what I would go with. Probably for shadows I would go a little less. So I would, if I would like my image stand out, I would probably go with this. If I would rather try to keep this in warm colors, I would go that way. And I feel warm colors, as you can see, looks better than just splitting the image for different tones when it's about outdoor images. This might be just my personal preference, so you go with actually whatever you like. That's how I would work in Camera Raw. After my work is finished, I would press Shift and open the image as an object in Photoshop. Why opening as an object? Because if we have any mistake, you can just double hit on your object in Photoshop and correct whatever is done. You don't have this opportunity if you open just image. Later you have to go through filter and open this in Camera Raw filter. So that would be my Camera Raw conversion. And as another example, I want to show you Capture One conversion, because it has a little bit different option and probably gives me a little more opportunities with working with colors itself. So if you work in Camera Raw, that would be your Camera Raw processing, very basic one. If you have also software like Capture One, there will be another example.